Be live now, I believe. Welcome to another week of Mental Health Wednesday. We have a pretty cool topic today. If you saw, students, on the title of the survey, it said creating and maintaining change. Do you want to kind of overview what you talk about in the video, Miss Laura?
Yeah, absolutely. Even as adults, we have a really difficult time making new habits and also breaking old ones. That's something I didn't talk about in the video, but later I realized talking to a couple other students that they're actually having a hard time breaking old habits. Like they have a habit of staying up really late. And so, especially when we're shelter in place and whenever we go back to school, that's going to be a really hard habit to break. And so I talk about how we need to assess what habits are good for us, what habits are unhealthy, and then how to create change. And like I said, change is very difficult, but it's not impossible. And we should all be looking to make changes that are only going to better ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that waking up part is probably one of the biggest things for a lot of different people because, I mean, we're at home, the couch is there, the futon's there, the bed is there. We're in a setting that's comfortable for us, and we know it's pretty readily accessible. Keeping
Mhm.
ourselves accountable to those types of things are a pretty big deal. So I
Mhm.
reminded my students actually today too, because I found my old alarm clock because I unfortunately lost my phone over the weekend, so I had to really use go old school, and I have good old Goku here that I used to use college and high school. So it's really loud. Obviously, when we're sleeping, it's like dead silent in the place. So when you hear it, it like really rings and super loud. So yeah, it definitely wakes me up. So
Oh,
and I think because the sound is different from what I'm typically used to, it like really registered differently for me too. So I think things like that we've suggested in the past too, and we'll continue to suggest.
you make such a good point. When people are thinking about making habits that are going to be better for them, they need to remove some stuff from their environment and add different stuff. For example, if it's really difficult for you to wake up or take off a few blankets because those blankets are going to be so comfortable and it's going to make you stay, sleeping in longer. Maybe you need to add a louder alarm clock in order to wake up on time. Change is not easy, but change can definitely be easier when you take away things that are going to stop you from making that change. And maybe you add a few things like reminders, whether it's from your family or, friends. Accountability actually is another thing that I talk about in the video, is that we need some help sometimes with creating change, and it's not a problem. We can get these reminders, and hopefully those reminders will help us sustain better habits.
And, I mean, that's a perfect segue for my next question, actually. So, I mean, you talk about habits, and you define habits, just breaking it down overall. I
Mhm.
mean, how can you notice when it's a bad habit?
Yes, really great question. Is that actually I talk about how habits need to be changed, that sustained over time. So, say for example, the staying up late, that could be a habit that is really hard to just break. If you're going to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning every single morning for a month, you've gotten used to that habit. And so now it's going to be really hard to scale it back. When you know it's something to change, is that change is something that you should be doing willingly. And it's not something that someone pushes you towards, or else you're not going to want to do it. So I talk about the stages of change in my video, and there are like 6 stages of change. The first one is pre-contemplation, and a lot of us are in this where we're like, there's nothing wrong with staying up until 3 a.m. There's nothing wrong. I don't need to change that. It's not hurting my body. It's not hurting my health. I don't care. So pre-contemplation is this stage where you're not aware and you don't want to change it. But contemplation is when you start to think, oh, my body hurts. I'm late to class. You start to see that there are things you can change. And that awareness that maybe your habits aren't good for you is integral in trying to figure out what you want to change.
Yeah, definitely. It's not easy either when it becomes, again, if it's sustained over time, if it's something that's been going on and you're used to it and it's something that's actually something you like doing, or it makes you feel good in a way. It's very hard to let go, especially because you think it's good, but at the same time, whether it's in volume or it's the duration or whatever it may be, and it's negatively affecting other important areas of your life. Oh man, it's
Mhm.
definitely hard. So, I mean, no one is alone in that regard, but if you notice, it's taking away um, in like exponentially in some senses from
Mhm.
other things that are important to you and in your life. Yeah, you got to make a plan and stick with it. I mean, I think of like when people have to weight train or like lose weight, it's not going to be easy. You can't just, take a pill or just, do one workout or take, you know, a drink here and there, a shake or whatever it may be, or like one healthy meal. It's not going to just be
Yeah.
like a genie in a bottle, you can't do it in one just clean sweep.
And actually, yeah, in terms of change, a lot of students tell me that they want to change, but they don't know how. And so that's actually the third stage of change is preparation. It's to say, like, if I need to lose weight to get healthier, then I should read up on what nutrition is. I should read up on what I should be eating instead, because this kind of preparation for change really needs to be informed. So for example, if you know you want to change your grade, change your study habits, ask your teacher, ask your friends, Google how to time manage so I could do my homework. This kind of preparation is going to help your actual change be much smoother if you can understand what you're doing in order to actually make a difference. Because like you said, eating one salad once a week is not going to maintain change if you want to better your physical health. So you need to do some homework before you actually go out there and try to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, we've mentioned some things before in other discussions because they're related in some way, but I think really exercising your use of tools and resources for changes that you really want and will take a lot of effort and time
Mhm.
is definitely something we recommend. I know you kind of showed images of different apps in particular on our smartphones in your video, and I think
Mhm.
that's clever
Mhm.
because if it's a workout thing or if it's like even just like an alarm clock, you can set alarms like certain days. Okay, oh, okay. I need to take my afternoon break every day at like 1 o'clock. I'm gonna go out for a short walk and come back. Or
Yeah.
I'm gonna do, a set of push-ups, sit-ups, blah blah blah. Maybe I'm gonna do 10 every day or something like that. Um, but again, I think we mentioned it before. It doesn't have to be like doing everything all at once.
Mhm.
I would recommend it be gradual. So, for example, if you really want to get into a workout routine, it doesn't make sense for you to do 50 push-ups all of a sudden and expect to do that every single day or every other day. It's something you have to build up to. Like you have to start with like 10, and then maybe 20, then 30, and then get out. If you can make it to 50 like every day or every other day or at least twice a week, yeah, you have to be very practical and reasonable in that way. You can't just flick a switch and it's done. I mean, some people can. There are, some people that can do that, but I feel like most people, we do tend to do better when we have gradual progression because if we do it all at once, like if I try to do 50 push-ups all at once in one day, I probably don't want to do it again tomorrow because I knew how hard it was the
Mhm.
first time around. So I think building up to it and building your like stamina and just something with regularity, and building slowly up from that, I think it's the best, it's the most practical.
Yeah, a lot of our students on the Mental Health Wednesday forum today had said that one of the biggest reasons they're unable to create change for a new habit is consistency. They might give up quite easily. And so, even though change is hard, you don't have to flip the script in one day, like you're saying. It does need to be gradual change because gradual change that's sustained over a long period of time is actually going to help you more than if you just stop eating, like that's not healthy. It's not, going to help you achieve your the kind of physical health that you're looking to have. And so you don't need to do extremes in order to make change. I think people who want change want it to be as fast as possible. And unfortunately, that kind of change can be really harmful. And so we want to encourage students that if they're going to make a change for their better wellness, that it's better to do one thing that they can manage every single day or even weekly, if that's what it needs to be, in order to sustain real change, real habit growth that's going to contribute to their wellness.
Yeah, I mean, some of these even small things are probably helpful for some people too. Like, for example, depending on what you want, what your goal is every week, it doesn't, I mean, we're talking about physical health, but like, for example, if you want to do something like a new hobby or an old hobby that you had before, like, I know a lot of my friends are baking now. So, I mean, if you have a goal of like baking every Tuesday and Thursday, it's kind of rough, but if you have something that's more realistic, like maybe baking something in the middle of the week, you know, or once a week, when it actually happens, maybe like, okay, you know, I feel like baking something today. Actually dress the part. Go get your, like an apron on, get your tools out. Because that way, when you have everything out, you're like, oh man, I pulled everything out. I set up everything, so I have to follow through kind of thing. So I think, you know, what you said about, you know, preparing yourself in that way, like literally get everything ready for you to do it, and then you kind of feel like you're accountable to yourself to actually follow through. So I think sometimes that helps, you know, dressing the part or having, you know, the resources out, whatever you need to actually do what you plan to do.
Like taking away those barriers, really taking away the barriers to meeting your goals and creating that habit. You know, for a lot of example, I hear a lot of people tell me that they want to stop biting their nails. And I know that I think you mentioned that you struggled with this, and so have I. It's that you can't take away your fingers in order to stop biting your nails. That's impossible. But if you want to stop biting your nails, maybe you need to add something to create a barrier to that habit. So you add the things that maybe don't taste very good, or instead of biting your nails, you replace it with a different habit that's going to be better for you. So it's like every time you find yourself biting or pulling your nails, you go on a walk, you get up and you change your activity as soon as possible, because like I said, change is very difficult. And if you can plan for what to do when you relapse, then you'll be more likely to change the habit. And I do talk about relapse, kind of forgetting or doing something like falling back into that bad habit or not keeping that habit up. So if we inverse it, and if you eat vegetables with every single breakfast, or I'm sorry, breakfast, but if you eat vegetables every single dinner, and that's your goal, and one day you forget, that is okay. Don't look at yourself and think like, oh, you forgot one day. Forget it. I'm just going to go ahead and not have vegetables for the rest of the week. And so that kind of giving up actually, or kind of just like not wanting to maintain your goal is what's going to make it very difficult to make a habit or a change. Recognize that relapsing is a part of habit making is going to help you realize that it's okay and that you could try again the next day, and you'll be better for it if you could just keep trying.
Yeah, and it makes me think of like a lot of marathoners, and if you don't know how long a marathon is, basically people go on a run for 26.2 miles.
Yeah.
Now some people do it competitively, some people do it recreationally, but it's a major goal for a lot of people in terms of competition and just health. And so the topic that occurs in that conversation is hitting a wall, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And typically they hit a wall maybe like 5 or 6 miles out from the target. They did the majority of the run, but they hit a wall and like, I can't get past this. Like, I'm exhausted mentally, physically, I just can't do it. But you know, when you have conversations and hear about people talking about getting past that wall and keep pressing forward, even though it's really hard, thinking like maybe their shoes fell apart or whatever, I mean, they have blisters, something like that. When you talk to people that have overcome that wall, if you will, their reward is just so much more than how hard it was when they hit that wall. And at least for me, I mean, I did one marathon when after college, and so that wall idea concept was not just a fake thing. It wasn't just an idea. It actually happens and it is real. So I remember doing that, and yeah, it was tough when, like, for me it was like 18th mile and getting over it, but then you get to the finish line, and I did it with my friends as kind of like a thing that we wanted to do before we got older, and I'm very glad, I'm grateful I did it. So that's one of the benefits, but like crossing the finish line, like a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment, man, there's the reward is so much higher than the actual difficulty. So again, just like you said, Miss Laura, don't feel like you're a failure or anything like that. All of us are not
Right.
perfect.
Right.
So um, we're all flawed in some ways. Just getting past those things and moving on, and
Mhm.
using it as a learning opportunity, a platform for us to move forward. So in that way, yeah, it just makes me think of that and just keep pressing forward. I know it's hard, and again, we've mentioned, I think, the last 2 weeks too. If you have an accountability buddy that you can talk to or do it with, that's
Yep.
always really helpful too.
Yeah, and I think there's 2 points. One to make is that if you want to run daily and you do it on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and then on Wednesday you don't run, and then you actually run on Friday. So you run, what is that, 4 days out of 7? That is 4 more days than you had done that if you hadn't done it at all. And that's the kind of progress, growth, and praise that people should have for trying a new habit. And so next week they can say, you know what, I did 4. Maybe every single day is too hard. I want to get to every single day, but next week my goal is to do 5, or at least maintain. Do 4 again, and then do 5, because if you start going down, then that's going to be even harder to ramp back up the habit. So it's like, okay, 4 is now my new minimum to meet. I'm going to try to build up from there. And then I forgot the other point that you'd made, actually.
It's okay. We'll come back to it if you think of it. I think it's also really a good
Oh,
idea to be.
accountability.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, accountability. I was going to say, if you are going to choose an accountability partner, I highly, highly recommend that you know what kind of accountability you want. Do you want someone to be nice, encouraging, it's okay? Or do you want someone to be like, no, it's not okay that you didn't meet your goal? Like, there is very different kinds of accountability, and this is the reason why I don't get a personal trainer, is because I don't want someone to be mean to me when I'm like trying to meet a goal and they're like, come on, Larissa, do you think that you could do better? I'm like, this is not working for me. This is not going to help me be accountable. I'd like someone to encourage me instead. Some people really need that hard line that says, hey, S, you didn't run yesterday. What was your excuse? Sometimes that works for some people and sometimes it doesn't. So if you're going to reach out and try to get an accountability partner, make sure you know what kind of accountability is going to be actually helpful for you in reaching your goal.
Yeah, and I think that the other part that I was going to say is just like seeking all the options instead of just like thinking, okay, I just need to go running. For me personally, I don't like to run. I typically am someone that runs after a ball in particular, whether it's a soccer ball or a basketball. That's how I do my cardio typically. So I can't do any of that, but there are different ways to get about it if you want to do any training programs by yourself. I've kind of dropped off that, but for me, because I can't really have as much fun as I used to actually playing competitive soccer or competitive basketball anymore with other people. I think I found other routes in terms of like mountain biking that I picked up again. And so I found something that I enjoyed back then that I could enjoy now, and finding kind of a niche in what I actually like to do, where to do it, stuff like that. So keep your options out there. It's not only just running. I mean, people, you're not the only one. We've been basically in this type of scenario for almost a year now, practically, which is crazy to think about. But after so much time being in these circumstances, there are a ton of people that are in the same exact situation, have become very creative to provide, physical health aside from mental health as well, and emotional health too. So there are definitely different avenues to seek those exercises. And in terms of physical health, I mean, they have Zumba classes online, they have CrossFit. they have yoga. There's so many things that you can look up online or join to be a part of in terms of your physical health now. And, aside from the other two, like I mentioned with the emotional and mental health too. So seek out those resources and find things that you trust, you find enjoyment instead of just being like, I mean, again, there are a few people that are just like, I know it's going to be hard. I'm not going to enjoy it. I'm just going to do it because I need to get, whatever accomplished. But at the same time, for me, I want to have fun while doing something, especially when it comes to exercise. So I chose to do something and find out something I like. And those are definitely things that I've been trying to maintain with regularity.
Yeah. You make a very good point that our habits may have gone out the window when coronavirus started, when we did shelter in place. Any good habits that we had may have been gone. If we had really good social habits and we had really great friends, that may be difficult to maintain. If you went to the gym every single day and now gyms are closed, there are things that are no longer maybe available to us as much as they are. And it is a time to be creative, to create new habits, to think about ways that you can still maintain wellness that are in this space for now. So if students are having a difficult time trying to continue their wellness, if they're having difficulty with practicing positive habits that contribute to their academic health, their social health, mental health, or physical health, I mean, our adults at Blanca, our teachers and our staff are always there. And we can always help with those things. We could be accountability partners. We could be thought partners and trying to figure out how to maintain good habits. We could help be in that preparation phase of change. It's to help prepare people for how to take action. So just wanted to give that shout out to any of our students or our families that are needing help with making positive changes for their wellness. They could always reach out to anyone at Blanca on our staff.
Yeah, and I think another thing for yourself to build motivation, we have as a staff, we have an incentive system or a token system, if you will. You can earn OWL tickets for meeting expectations or going beyond expectations in many cases, and a lot of our students are buying pies in the face. I don't know if anyone has purchased one for you yet, Miss Lar. Okay, so just putting that out there for students that are earning those OWL tickets. It's definitely a joy to have to smash some pie in your face, but we have that system so you can buy a lot of different things for those OWL tickets. So if there's an incentive system you can build for yourself to motivate you, I think that's a great idea too. So for example, I know a lot of my friends for like the ones that actually work out, they have a regimen, like a meal plan every week, and so they have a cheat day, quote unquote, where they can just eat whatever they want. So if you feel like you needed a cheat day to like, okay, I'm gonna go through 5 days of doing this, push-ups one day, sit-ups the other day, jumping jacks, whatever, and then on the last day I'm going to reward myself. I get a nice meal. I get to eat whatever I want. Like, I think that's a good system to have if you like have a reward system for yourself. Or like for me, I'm just like, okay, you know what, if I'm able to do all these things, I'm going to try to buy this. Okay, I think I earned it because I've been pushing myself for the last month to accomplish this goal, get these things done, and again, that's at the end of the tunnel where I'm just like, I gotta get things done and I can reward myself. So I think thinking about that, creative ways to motivate ourselves is also a part of us being creative.
Honestly, I think that's the part that I wish I had put into our habit building, is that, first of all, like wellness is the ultimate reward. Like the reason you're doing the habit is so that you can have wellness as the reward, but sometimes you need that incentive in order to keep going. And so if you want to, make your goal of running and having that extra habit, and then you have like 2 rest days, or you can play video games for X amount of hours or things like that. There are always going to be things that reward you for having that wellness if you need a little bit of help. So your accountability partner could provide that for you too. You can say like, hey, we can socially distance, hang out, when we reach our goals and things like that. So that's a very good point, is we have more rewards than just our wellness if we need help for motivation.
Yeah, and some of our students, a lot of you I know out there already do chores or things for your parents, and there's a reward for it. Like I used to make $20 for mowing the lawn basically every weekend for a month, and then, other times, if I did my chores, take out the garbage or clean the dishes, if I built that up over, for over like a month and a half or something like that, my parents would buy me like a bike park because I was so into BMX bicycles back then. So things like that you can work out with your parents or your guardians as well, or even with your siblings. I think, I wouldn't barter. I wouldn't try to barter with them as much because my experience with trying to, argue with my mom that I deserve this or that didn't go that smoothly. But
Great example.
I'm sure there are people that you can try to talk to come up with those systems.
Yeah. Yeah, and that we're still here, that we can still provide that extra help to our students who need it. All they have to do is reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we always say this at the very end, but you are not alone. We are in this together. We've been in this situation. We've had these mental health conversations and discussions for quite some time now over the past years, and we've talked about so many different topics, had so many different types of guests. We continually want to have that dialogue when we can throughout the year. Seek out those resources. Again, Miss Laura has expanded her availability in terms of group sessions, optional office hours, as well as private sessions. So again, she is our counselor. So don't feel like it's going to be public knowledge if you talk to her. It's a private discussion in many cases, and obviously your teachers and other staff are available. And if you don't feel comfortable, we are definitely going to refer you to someone that we trust or an organization that we trust.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So on that note, we hope everyone's doing well. This is the second week in this quarter. A few weeks into the brand new year. Keep it up, keep it going, keep moving forward.
Yeah, happy Inauguration Day, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Take care.